Hey guys, this is another unboxing video. This is the Finevu CR-2000G. So this is a 2-channel system, similar to my previously reviewed Blackview DR550 and 650 models. This one does actually have full HD in the front and back, which the Blackview models don't. Now Blackview does have a camera, the 750, that does have full HD in the back. But that one I do not have yet. I would like to review that in the future, and I possibly will. This camera was sent to me courtesy of Black Box My Car, so if you haven't heard of them, I would check them out. I will put a link down below for their YouTube channel and their website. They are a Vancouver-based retailer that sells dash cameras, but their YouTube channel is actually very useful too. Has a lot of tips, reviews, and also actual dash cam footage. I think a lot of them are actually from their customers, so it's got a lot of videos. So we'll take a look around. This is CR-2000G, as it says. This is a 32 gigabyte model. I always like when cameras come with memory cards because that is another hidden cost. One thing I failed to mention in my review for the Street Guardian is it came with a 32 gigabyte Kingston card. Most of the B40 or A118 cameras don't come with a card, so that's another $15 to $20 cost of the other cameras that don't come with a memory card. And when I have so many cameras, it's always helpful to get more cards to review. And sometimes I have so many cameras that it's just helpful to have more cards for cameras I'm reviewing. Looks like that's all there is on the box. So, right off the bat, there's the user manual. Looks very in-depth. Now, I've never gotten a Finevu camera myself, and I was never a huge fan of cameras with screens, but I thought I would give this a chance. I know Finevu is known to have much better video quality than Blackview. It actually seems very high quality, but almost seems like I'd be afraid to drop it. It looks more like a digital camera. Now, one thing to point out is it has a regular SD card slot and a micro SD. I believe one might be for recording locked footage and one for looped. I know some cameras use a system like that. I'm not sure if that's what this one does, but that's my first guess. The USB and video out. So I'm assuming the USB is for the power. And here's the rear camera, which I personally can't say I'm a big fan of. It's a very strange design, but at the same time, when it's full HD, you might want to just get over the fact that it's sort of a goofy design. Sort of looks like HAL 9000 actually. Alright, just going to pull everything out. So, got the power cord, which looks very long. And that's pretty interesting. The power plug-in actually has a USB slot. Some clips. These clips seem a lot bigger than usual. I don't know how I like it, but it does actually have a clip for 2 cables. So I'm guessing one is for the rear camera and one is for power. That's pretty good design, I suppose. And then the cord for the rear camera. Now, one thing I have always really liked about the Blackview cameras is their cord is very, very thin. This is pretty thick compared to the rear camera cord on the Blackviews. I'll probably show that in my full review, but you'll have to take my word for it now. So one side uses mini USB. Actually, both sides use mini USB, which I like because I'm not a big fan of micro USB. Generally, you're not going to be plugging this in and out a lot, but micro USB has a pretty high failure rate for their cables. The plugins just aren't that great. So here is the mount for the main camera. And my first impression is I'm not actually a big fan of this mount, just because if I can get it in. Not actually sure. Okay, finally got it in. So the reason I said I'm not a huge fan of this mount is I like to call this sort of like a bell design, where it's hanging from the window and then it's all in a big bulky unit down below, so it looks like a bell. But it's still pretty small. It's not gigantic either. You can mount this just offset from your rear view mirror and it'll be pretty well hidden. It's got a very sturdy screw right there, so you can tilt it. There we go. One thing to note is it didn't come with a sticky mount on there, but did come with several in the bag, so you're going to have extras if you screw it up or if you want to move it to a different car eventually. So, don't know what that says. I actually am half Korean, but I do not speak it or read it, so if someone wants to translate that, that'd be great. One thing I actually missed was the memory card was right in there. So comes with a Toshiba brand Finevu micro SD card and obviously the adapter. So I'm going to give a quick look at the menu. I do have a adapter so I can plug the actual cord into my wall.
Please check the time settings.
I don't have the rear camera plugged in right now, just for,
Recording starts.
as you can see, it started recording.
Emergency recording mode.
And I guess that is emergency recording mode.
Emergency recording mode. Emergency recording mode.
Okay, so got some settings. It's pretty cool that you can change just the parking. Frame rate is going to be the same for that. I'm not going to go through all of this just because I'll go in more in depth in the full review. Just wanted to give a quick glance. format. I do sort of like those sounds. So it's pretty standard. So if I turn the sound back on, restarted it last time. I'm not sure if that's something it needs to do when you toggle the sound. Well, it didn't that time, so. Alright, so that's just a quick look at the menu. I do like it quite a bit. That I'm not a fan of. I did not actually realize it did that until I turned it around right now. I think I remember seeing on Dashcam Talk some thread about covering this. I believe Pure 28 was going to sell some sort of bracket to cover that. Or maybe it was another camera. I could have sworn it was the same camera. And again, like I've mentioned in my Blackview videos, this is a Korean camera, so they like flashy cameras. They want people to know that you're using a dash camera. And from what I've remember reading, you can't actually turn that off. But well, I'll look into that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my car and get some test footage to show. So this time of year, it's generally hard to get some good clear sky days, but this is about as good of a day clip I could find this week. I wanted to point out that this video footage is pretty clear and detailed, but it seems like the bitrate seems to vary. I've seen one clip was as high as 12 megabits per second with audio, the audio making about 1 megabit of that 12, and some of my other clips ended up being 10 or 11 including audio. I'm not really sure how it decides what bitrate it's recording in. It might have something to do with the quality or the picture quality, such as at night. I noticed one of my night clips was only 9 megabits per second. Either way, that is higher than the Blackview camera, at least the 2-channel Blackview cameras that I have. My 650 only records at about 80 or 8.5 megabits per second. So this is definitely an improvement. Plus the rear camera records in the same bit rate, I believe, or at least 10 or 11 in all the files I've checked. So this is the same location as the previous clip I just showed. This is just the rear camera. I did check the bit rate, and it was actually the exact same 11.1 megabits per second. And that includes the audio. So I know there are some of my clips that were 12 megabits per second, but like I said, I'm not exactly sure what dictates that. So this clip is during some really harsh conditions. It's at night and it had been snowing for a few hours. I believe we actually got about 4 or 5 inches of snow that night. And like I've said before, my Civic's windshield wipers don't go all the way up, so it blocks some of the picture. But here you can actually hear my brakes were just struggling to stop. And here I knew I was actually just about to get a green light because the left turn across from me got a red light. But one car actually tried to run that red light, and you'll see in the rear camera view what actually happened just as I made that turn. So again, here's when I am coming up to that stoplight. I'm not sure why that truck flashes lights at me, but I quickly decided to go right here because I knew I was going to get a green light and I was sticking out. And just as I did, that guy who tried to run that yellow or red left turn arrow slid forward and slid into the curb right where I stopped. So I'm going to give this camera a few weeks of use before I put up my full review as usual. So far I do really like it. There's a few features or form factor designs that I don't really like, but overall I think it's a great camera so far. Again, if you like this video or my other videos, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.